I'll just pretend you're phase shifting, like you're going to get
Am I
beamed
blue
up.
shifting or red shifting?
Phase shifting, like we put the
Phase
phasers
shifting.
on you and now they're going to beam you up or
Oh,
down.
all right. Okay. I think we're almost there. Yes. Okay, I think we are live on YouTube, and one is watching. That must be me.
I'm watching. I figured I'd monitor it in
Oh,
case
you are.
anybody has live questions.
You're on. You're live. Okay, great. All right, welcome everyone to the PlayShop, September 24th, 2024. Ooh, lots of twos and lots of fours. Really glad to have everyone here and all those who are joining us later, watching later on. Appreciate your patience as we have shifted over to YouTube Lives. We used to do Facebook Lives, but Facebook is not allowing those anymore. So we're doing it on YouTube and then republishing the YouTube's back to the Facebook group so people can listen in. And tonight we are talking about rhythm and groove, keeping a steady beat, and the importance of that in improvisation. So I want to encourage you to ask questions as we go along. You're welcome to interrupt me or to put them in the chat. Marie is watching the chat for me. Yay, thank you. And let's see. Oh, there it is. And I will put the chat in there as well so I can keep an eye on that. There we go. All right, very good. So welcome Mary, welcome Candace, welcome June, welcome Davey. And a special shout out to Davey because he has taken over John Kovac's design and harp making business. And I have built one of his harps back when John was still with us. And they're really nice resonant Paraguayan style harps. So if you're looking for a harp kit to put together, they're pretty straightforward. That's how I learned to string harps too, to put when you do 36 strings on a harp all at once, you get really good at stringing, tying knots and stringing harps. So, alrighty, so let's get started. So I want to first off start by sharing a book with you that I really love called Music Lesson. I've given away so many copies of this book that I don't currently have one, but it's written by Victor Wooten. I'll put his name here in the Victor Wooten, Victorwooten. He is a bass player, jazz bass player, very fine jazz bass player. And he wrote this beautiful book a long time ago, maybe 15 years ago, maybe more. And wrote it as kind of a fairy tale. So it's a sort of Jonathan Livingston Seagull meets music. It's a really sweet story about, he wrote it in the first person about meeting the angel of music and the 10 lessons that the angel of music imparted to him. And through his process of having these conversations with the angel of music, he became more connected to his own music. And welcome, Linda. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
And then the first lesson in the music lesson, the first of the 10 lessons, is that the groove is all important. And in classical music, we call it the pulse. In pop music and jazz music, we call it the groove. Oh yeah, Davey, if you have a website, let us know what it is. Put it in the chat there so people can find you. And so I want to talk about that tonight. Now, a lot of us play healing music. We play sound baths. We play more atmospheric music, and we might not think of that as having a pulse or having a groove, but I'll tell you that it definitely makes the music work better if there is. It may be subtle, it may be slow, but if you have something underlying this, then it's going to make the music go, in my opinion, go a little bit better. Now, but before I dive into that, I want to say that there's plenty of music out there that doesn't have a pulse. Gregorian chant comes to mind, but the music in that case is based on the words, the text, and the movement of the words and movement of the text. So in a way, there's a pulse, but it's not a metronome kind of beat underneath. It's more tied to the cadence of and the rhythm of the words themselves. So I have definitely over the years played Gregorian chant type music on the harp because I really love it. I think it fits very nicely the echoey, etheric flavor of Gregorian chant, and I particularly love Hildegard von Bingen's music, and I've translated some of that onto the harp. But in that case, I'm kind of singing along in my head and trying to follow the rhythms of the words. I'm not great at Latin, but I can figure out probably what it's going to be and try to get kind of close to that. So, okay, Davey, thank you for posting that. JohnKovac.com is where his information. So Davey took over for John, and John's no longer with us. So glad that you did because I love his harps, I love his music. All right, so
Simba,
but we're not going to.
were you gonna make yourself spotlighted?
Am I going to make myself what? Oh, yes, spotlight. Thank you. Hang on. Oh, it's under view, right? Or is it under my own name?
I can spotlight you, but it would be at the 3 dots near your name.
Got it. That should do it. So you already see me big? Yes. Okay, great. Thank you for reminding me. And my original sound is on. So, good. All right. So, so let's talk first about improvising on songs that we might know. And I'm going to talk first about, let's see, Greensleeves. Let's do Greensleeves because most people know Greensleeves. If you don't know Greensleeves, I'll give you a quick tutorial on Greensleeves. We're in the key of C. Turn this just a little bit so you can see better. Greensleeves is basically on 4 chords. It's an A minor chord, play backwards so you can see. A G, an F, an E minor, and then back to an E minor. So and it goes on from there. And I apologize, I've got a new string. I'll be tuning throughout the evening here. So what's important is that for us, for tonight, is that this is written either in 3/4 or 6/8, but it's got a pulse of 3. There's a 3 thing going on here. It happens to be my favorite.
So
So
Simba,
if you're
that
gonna
was A, what was it after A?
A minor, G, F, E minor, and A minor. I'll talk about the second part of the song in a little bit.
A, G, F what? I'm just
E
gonna
minor, A minor. Here, I'll put it in the chat.
I got it.
A minor. Oh, you got it.
I got it.
But be careful because it's not A. It's A minor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, A minor, G, F, E minor.
Kind of like a walk down bass.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I love about it. It's a walk down
Yes.
bass, so that means that it's the root notes A, G, F, E, and A. There's so much you can do with this chord progression, and it gets used in lots of other songs. Once you know, you'll start hearing it at other places as well. So A minor. I'm sorry, my harp's a little bit out of tune because it's been raining today. G, F, E minor, A minor. And a lot of you have been with me for a while, but June is new, so let me just quickly run over the numbering system again. So we're in the key of C. So C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, B is 7, and then the upper octave is either 8 or 1, depending on chord structure, stuff like that. So the reason I'm saying this is because you can also think of this as 6, 5, 4, 3, 6. And if you learn it by number, you can do it in any key. So far so good? Questions? Puzzlement? No? Okay. All right. So that's the basic structure of the first part of Greensleeves is those 4 chords. And then I'll talk about the second part in just a minute. But when we're talking about improvisation, you can let go of the melody and just play with the chords. And for this moment, like if I'm playing this as a background song and I've played the melody a couple of times, but I need to keep going because I've got to fill the space, I've got to fill the time, I can keep that flavor of Greensleeves going. Let's say you're playing a Christmas gig coming up here in a few months, and you're playing Greensleeves or What Child Is This? And you've got to keep it going for a little bit longer, or you want to keep it going for a little bit longer, then you're going to be paying attention to the underlying groove, the underlying pulse. And for Greensleeves, it's 3/4. Sometimes it's written as 6/8, but it's got this rhythmic 3 feel to it. And so this makes it very easy to play this in triads of A, C, E. Shift it to G. And I'm also following the structure, the chordal structure. So it's not just that I'm doing things in 3s, but that when I get to the end of a phrase, which I'll try to get to talking about phrasing tonight too, that in this, in Greensleeves, I think it goes in that it's think it's two groups of two. Yeah. And then when you get to the second phrase, the group of two goes over two chords. So just, if you're working with green sleeves, just pay attention to that part. So again, if I'm playing the melody, I'll try to play it quietly so you can pay more attention to the left hand. 1, 2, switching to G, two groups of 2G, two groups of F, groups of E minor, back to the A minor, two groups of G, F, okay, so I want to write this out a little bit because I think it's important. When we're talking about groove and structure, they kind of go together. So let me do a little whiteboard action here. So hopefully everybody's going to see my whiteboard here. Oh, they've updated the whiteboard. Hold on. External meeting participants cannot see this whiteboard after the meeting because of... Okay, all right. We'll worry about that later. I think it's going to be fine for now. Okay, so you've got, make this bigger. So A minor, the first part, first phrase, G, G, F, F, E minor, E minor. So that's the first part, the first phrase. Then the second phrase is A minor, G, G, F, F. Oh no, sorry. F, E minor, A minor, A minor. So notice that in the first phrase, there are 4 groups of 2. It just works out that there's 2 A minors, 2 Gs, 2 Fs, 2 E minors. In the second phrase, there's still 4 groups of 2, but to complete the phrase, we have only 1 F, 1 E minor, and then 2 A minors. So when you're thinking about improvising on this, you want to pay attention to this little turnaround right here. Okay. So far, so good? All right. So I will come back to this in a minute. So I'm going to close the whiteboard. So far, so good? Thumbs up? Okay, great. So let's go back to the pulse and the underlying groove. So now when I'm playing around with this, when I'm improvising with this, I'm going to really lock in to that chord progression and that groove and allow my right hand to move, to provide the improv part of this, at least for now. And this is what I recommend getting started working on this. And then we're going to talk about the second part of the song, and then I'll talk about how to take this into a more sound healing kind of environment. So I'm going to do so there's that triplet feel. Here's the turnaround. Now, what was I doing in my right hand? I was doing groups of 3 notes. And then I was starting on, most of the time, made a couple of boo-boos in there, but most of the time starting on a chord tone. So I'm on the A minor chord. Oh, that's really flat. Oh, that's why. So I'm starting on the third note of the A minor, starting on the C. It's not exactly what I played, but you can do that. So I'm also doing a downward by 1 string movement in the right hand where I'm playing, starting on the C, and then going to the B, and then down to the A. You can also start on the E up here, so it could be like this. And I've talked a lot about this over the couple of years that I've been doing these play shops about target notes. So target notes, on my mind, are chord tones that you're either starting on or ending on, trying to end your phrases on. You don't have to, and sometimes you're just not going to because you're like, whoops, I went the wrong direction. But in this case, I'm starting on, I could either start on a C, go down to the A, or I could start on this E and go down to the C. But the E, the C, and the A are target tones for the A minor chord. So when I'm playing this, then I move to the G. Now my target tones have changed to G target tones, F target tones. And then I do the one of each, the one F and one E minor, and then come back to the A minor. The whole time I'm doing this, because this is the topic tonight, is the underlying pulse. The whole time I'm doing this in the left hand to keep that 3 feel going. And because this is a song everybody knows, I'm sticking pretty strictly to what the song's doing. Here's the turnaround. Now, you don't have to do this. This is just a suggestion. Some other things that I do. So in that case, I'm doing descending thirds. Which comes straight out of this book. Deborah Frews. I've talked about this book a lot. It's one of my favorite exercise books. And there's descending third exercises on pages 9 and 10. And I've just done them so much that they become automatic in my hand. And I encourage everybody to, whether it's this book or another book or whatever exercise book you like to work with, find those patterns and practice them so that you've got them available to you when you're doing your improvisations. I have to confess that I'm not as great going up. I have to work a lot harder. For whatever reason, it's easier for me to go down. I hit some bad notes in there, but it's not the end of the world, because this is the thing I wanted to remember to say tonight, is that the ear will forgive a bad note far faster than it will forgive bad rhythm. So you can play bad notes as long as you're playing them in rhythm, and they're not going to remember them. But we've all been at concerts, particularly young children learning to play, where they play along and they stop, and you're just getting in the flow, and then they keep going, and then they stop, and then you're just getting in the flow, and then you keep. We want to feel that movement, and that's just, for whatever reason, is just more important to us as musicians, us as listeners, than getting the notes exactly right. And that's probably why, if you've taken lessons at any point in your life, your teacher's like, just keep going. Keep going, just keep going. Don't go back and fix it. Just keep going. And one of my favorite teachers, Deborah Henson Conant, she calls this sometimes bombs away practicing, where you just, even if you don't have it all exactly right, just keep going. Keep playing as though you've got it. And if you've got the rhythm, it's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Especially now, if you're improvising, and especially if you're improvising your own stuff, no one's going to know. You'll know. Don't give it away. Don't give it away by going, don't make the face. Stop. Just keep going. All right. Questions so far? Still everything good? Okay. All right. So let's keep going here. I'm going to share my whiteboard again.
I call that no eye rolling, no hand flapping, no throat clutching.
Yep. All right. All of that. Just giving away that a mistake that maybe many people don't know that is happening. Okay, so let's talk about what happens next in this tune. So what happens next is, let's go back to our 36 font size. Can I move that up a little bit? No? Sorry, I'm still learning how to do this exactly right now. I want to, hang on. I'm almost there. Almost got it. Okay, fine. Leave it that way. Okay, the next part is very similar to the first part, except the very first chord. Which maybe you know, maybe you don't know. And then, oh, June, you're moving your mouse around there. That's cool. I don't know how you're doing that. So C, C, G, G, F, E minor, A minor, A minor. Okay. So when we get to the second part of Greensleeves, it's exactly the same as the first part, except the first chord. F, E minor, C, G, that's it. That's it. That's it. And another time we'll talk about chord substitution and why you can substitute A minor for C. But for those of you who know, A minor is the relative minor of C. They're cousins. I'll talk, while I'm here, I'll talk about it a little bit. So A minor is made up of A, C, and E. C is made of C, E, and G. They share two of the same notes. This is why you can substitute them for each other. And they will play nice in compositions. They'll play nicely there. Another play shop will talk about chord substitution for all chords, but for now, just know that A minor and C can be substituted for each other. You want a spooky sounding chord, you can use the A minor. You want a sunny sounding chord, you use the C. So when you're improvising on the second part of Greensleeves, then instead of playing the A minor at the beginning, you play two C's. Then you go right back to the same chord, descending chord pattern that you had before, G, down to F, then down to E minor. Back to C, G, one of the F, one of the E minor, then you return back to home base, A minor. When you're improvising on this, then your target notes for the C chord are going to be C chord target notes. And again, following the chord structure closely for now, if you're improvising on that. Okay, so that's Greensleeves. If you're going to working with Greensleeves specifically, those are some ideas for working on. But let's take Greensleeves now and slow it down and change it up a little bit. So now we're going to take it, and I do this. I take those chords and put them into a sound bath structure, which is much slower and maybe doesn't follow the exact chord structure of Greensleeves. I might still use that descending pattern, but I might not do two of each. I might let the sound bath itself inform when I need to make those changes, how I'm going to make those changes. So when I'm going to do that, let's see. Well, first of all, right away, I'm going to use a different hand pattern in the left hand. So what I've been doing for Greensleeves is a triad, so A, C. But when I'm going to a sound bath, I want something a little more ethereal and a little less structured sounding. So in the left hand, I'm going to do a 1-5-8. Which is in this case A, E, A. And then one of my favorite go-tos is to then do, so I'm going to do this in terms of numbers. So this is 1, 5, 8, 9, 10, 12. So A is 1, E is 5. So these are intervals too. and then the top A is 8. The B above that is 9. The C above that is 10. And the E above that is 12. And I'm counting the bottom A as the root note as 1. So I'm even though I'm playing in 2 octaves, I'm giving those numbers in relation to the root note. So 1, 5, 8, 9, 10, 12. I'm still using the same numbers, so but I've moved to the G, so I'm doing G, D, G, A, B, D. Still 1, 5, 8, 9, 10, 12, but now the root note is the G. And then I'm going to move down 1 more. And then I'm going to move down 1 more. And I'm doing something different with the E minor here because F natural sounds so creepy. It's when you're playing the E is the first note, B is the 5th note, E is the 8th note. This 9th note is a tritone to the B. It's not that beautiful. It has its place, but so in that case, I'm going to change that from 1 to 1, 5, 8, 10, 11, 12. Because I like the way that sounds better versus the 9, 10, 12. That F natural is a tritone to the B, and it's just not. To me, when I'm doing sound baths, it's got a very specific purpose, and tonight's not the night for that. So all together, it's going to sound like. Still on that 3 pulse. If I'm following still following green sleeves, then I'll do 1 F, 1 E, and then I'm back to the A minor. Oh, Karen's here. G. And then when I go to the second part, I'm going to do the same hand pattern where I'm doing, except on a C. It's C, G, C, D, E, G, 1, 5, 8, 9, 10, 12. And then returning to the A minor. And I'm playing this way faster than I would play normally in a sound bath. I would be And even that's probably too fast. But it's really hard for me to play sound bathy stuff without being in a sound bath and playing it as slow as I would actually be playing it for people. I don't know why I can't do it when I'm not in a sound bath, but I have a hard time doing that. Okay, so I'm not really following a beat at this point, but I am following a chord structure. So there's something that's holding it together. But even that, as I'm playing that, I feel like you probably as a listener can anticipate a little bit when I'm going to play something next. It's not completely out of whack. Yeah, question.
Well, comment on just exactly that. You're keeping, let's say, if you're talking about keeping a beat or something, the great big beat, like the chord, is there, and then we can expect it after you do the second one and we know where it's going to go, then we can expect the third one in about the same place and so on. What you do in between doesn't matter so much because you set up a structure for the really big beat. It's almost like a big heartbeat, but then we have little flubadubs in between.
Right. Right. Yes. And I think that's just because I've been playing music for so long, I kind of automatically do that. I will say that sometimes I get going in a sound bath and I get going too fast. And then all of a sudden it occurs to me like, oh, I'm playing too fast. And I'll tell you what I mean by too fast in a second. But then I will stop and change tempo deliberately. So I might be, and I get to the end where I've done. And then I'll take a breath and then really slow it down. So it's still, as I move into the next section of the piece, you can think of double bar lines being there maybe. I will deliberately slow it down, but it's still following a tempo, I think. And I feel that it seems like it's breathing. Yeah, letting the breath decide when to move it forward. Okay, great. So that is a nice segue into how fast, when I know I'm going too fast. I know I'm going too fast if I'm going faster than people are breathing, or I'm going faster than what the resting heart rate is in the room. And of course, I'm not running around taking everybody's pulse, but I know from experience that resting heart rate is between 60 and 70 beats a minute, maybe 75. It's pretty slow. So if you're practicing this for sound baths, you can set a metronome for 60 or 65 or 70 and practice feeling what that feels like. And when you get going faster than that, it sometimes happens, you can return back to this pulse of a resting heart rate. You can also, a really easy way to follow what's going on in the room is just watch how people are breathing and move with the breath. People breathe between 6 and 10 breaths a minute. So that can really slow you down. And that can be beautiful, really beautiful. Allow the heart to breathe, allow the heart to speak, and not fill the space with too many notes. Okay. So the last thing I wanted to talk about here as we're getting towards the end is I've been playing around with green sleeves because it's when people say, "Can you play me something?" That's what I always play because most people know it, even if they're not classical people. They've heard it at Christmas or whatever. I just like it as a chord progression. It doesn't have to be green sleeves. You can just play that chord progression. And more than that, you can play just parts of that chord progression. A minor G, just A minor G is really nice. It can just be as simple as that. It can just be the A minor G. And in some ways, I'm still following the feel though of green sleeves, where I got two of these, two G's, two A's, and then one G and one A coming back. There's two G's back to A minor, one G back to A. So we don't have time tonight, and it wasn't really the topic to talk about how to structure your chord progressions, but they are closely related to each other, phrasing and chord progressions, and rhythm. That the underlying rhythm is not just beat, 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 but that there's groups of beats that make phrases, and that's part of what makes my opinion, a really good improvisation. Is as you become more experienced with this, you begin to feel, and as musicians, if you've been singing or playing for a long time or whatever, you have a sense of what a phrase feels like. And then I encourage you to build those for yourself. And it could be groups of 4, it could be groups of 8, it could be groups of 16. If you're working in 6/8, it could be groups of 6 or groups of 3, but thinking not just in terms of threes, but groups of threes, like 4 groups of threes or 8 groups of threes as you're going along. And you can write them out. Let's see if I can see on my shelf very quickly how I'll grab this and show it to you. Just one second. So when I first started playing my sound baths, I actually wrote them out, and I'll show you what I did. And I encourage you to do the same. They look like this. Now don't worry so much about Ionian and late summer and all of that. That's a whole different class. But just writing them out, these patterns, and making yourself some repeat signs, and writing them out for yourself, and then testing them. So this is a chord progression that I played a lot when I first started, and I recently played through this, so I'm like, wow, well, I've changed this a lot over the years. I play this very differently now than I did when I first wrote this out. But when I first started improvising, I needed to have it written because I just couldn't remember what I was doing. So So I encourage you to do that. And we've talked about this before, but if you're really at a loss for what chords should I play, what chords should I put together, well, you can work with green sleeves like we have this evening, but you can also get dice. And Stephanie Bieber, who's a German teacher, German harp teacher, introduced me to this idea. This dice have 6 sides, and there are 6 chords that go nicely together. The 7th one is the creepy tritone. We can leave that out, and you can just roll some dice and play those chords, and try that, and see what sounds nice together. I didn't even get out my metronome tonight. But you are welcome to get out your metronome and set it for 60, 65, 80, whatever. Try different things. Try this. You can try green sleeves. You can try, you have other songs that you like, other chord progressions that you like. You can try those with different metronome settings. And then I guess the last thing I want to say, and I'll keep saying this as long as we have play shops, it's so important to listen. Listen to what your harp is telling you to do next. Listen to what is, it's a great class even without the metronome. Thank you. So, because your ear will tell you, as you spend more time with this, your ear will say, oh, I want it to go here. Oh, I want it to go here. Oh, I want it to go here. And okay, maybe you try it and you don't find that initially. Just keep trying. Just keep trying. Keep going. It's you're as I say, that improvisation is the gateway drug to composition. And keep trying until you find the things that you like. And what I've been playing for you this evening are things that I have developed over the years. And I didn't go into a lot of what I was playing, right hand, left hand, stuff like that. I'll do that another time. But it's just from trying different things and figuring out what sounds good and what feels good in my hand and what are my Don't be afraid of go-tos. Don't be afraid of things that you continually go back to, because they work. And they could be the springboard for new things. You don't have to constantly be creating something new every time. You can be working for something old and developing it as it blossoms and grows over time. June, did you have a question or a comment? No? Okay. All right. All righty, it is that time. We got to stop. I could keep going, but I think this is a good place for me to stop. And I'm just delighted to share all this information with you guys. And I want to hear what you play. So please record stuff and post it. Send it to me. If you feel brave, post it in the Facebook group. It's an inspiration to other people to keep trying and keep going. Keep trying new stuff. So.
Thanks so much.
All righty, thank you. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Candace, Davey, Linda, June, and I'll see you all
Bye.
soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.